Hi everyone. It is 1 p.m. my time anyway, so I'm going to get started on our training today, and that's going to be all about how to survive the holidays in one piece and with your weight under control. So I know that it's American Thanksgiving for all of the American group members on Thursday, so that's only 2 days away, and there are also just a lot of other holiday things coming up, like Christmas and New Year's, Boxing Day, all of sort of holiday gatherings, holiday parties, holiday get-togethers with friends at restaurants. So I just want you to watch this training and understand that you can navigate the holidays and still manage your weight. You can still have fun. You can still go out. You can still have a few cocktails or beer with friends. You can still have that piece of pumpkin pie and you can still manage your weight. And I know that you can because I do it every single year. Yes, I'm a nutritionist. Yes, I eat fairly well, but I am definitely not perfect. I overindulge in at the holidays, at holiday gatherings and during holiday festivities just as much as everybody else does. But I do have some tips and some strategies that I use personally and that I give to my clients that can really help you keep your weight under control. Um, Hi, Norm. Thanks for showing up live. Okay, so if you are watching live, please just say hi in the comments, and I'm just going to get started. I'll just share my screen. And I'll definitely have some questions at the end, a question period, if you have any specific questions for me. Okay, so how to manage your weight over the holidays and during special occasions. Today, I'm really going to talk about how you can create a realistic goal for the holiday season. I'll also talk about the 90-10 rule, which is something that I use, which is something I tell my clients to use. And then we'll go over some practical strategies to get through the holiday season in one piece. And there is also a PDF that I've created that has some strategies on it in case anybody wants it. You can say PDF now. I'll mention it a couple other times during this training and make it available to anybody who wants it. Okay, so who am I? My name is Trina Rise. I'm a holistic nutritionist. I have been since 2014. I am also a mother and a wife. I have two sons, age 17 and 9. I have a daughter who's 19, and I have a loving husband. The reason why I work with men over 40, and that's a question I get a lot of the time, is this guy here. He's my best friend, David. I helped him lose weight when he was in his early 50s, and he really inspired me to change my professional focus to men over 40. All right. And I'm the founder of a company called TR Nutrition. And I've also created a 16-week online coaching program called the Belly Fat Fix. And that's specifically for men over 40 in their 50s and their 60s as well. And I'm really an expert in men's weight loss. I've helped hundreds of clients take control of their health, lose weight, and keep it off by using a holistic, individualized approach. So there's some contact information. If anyone's interested in contacting me, please do so. But let's dive into the training. So, is this training for you? Are you someone who gains 5 to 10 pounds or 2 to 5 kilograms over the holidays every year, and then you feel miserable when the new year arrives? So, put a 1 in the comments if that sounds like you. The weight that you put on over the holidays is almost impossible to get off. You can put 2 in the comments if this sounds like you. And a lot of you probably know this. You can gain weight easily over the holidays, and then January comes and it takes forever to get those pounds off again. You want to be able to indulge a little bit over the holidays without going completely off the rail. So you can put a 3 in the comments if that sounds like you. That's definitely me. I definitely want to be able to indulge a little bit over the holidays, but I also want to not go completely off the rails. I don't want to gain 5 or 10 pounds. A couple is manageable, but I don't want to go completely off the rails. So I think the most important thing when we're looking at the holiday season is to set a realistic goal. Okay? Do not set unrealistic goals over the holidays. So, an example of an unrealistic goal would be I'm not going to eat even one piece of chocolate. I'm not going to have a piece of my favorite pie after Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to buckle down and lose 5 pounds over the holidays. I'm not going to overeat at any family gatherings, or I'm not going to drink any alcohol. And the list goes on and on. So those are all really unrealistic goals. If I tell myself today, okay, it's almost December 1st, I'm not going to eat any chocolate over the holiday season, there's about 0% chance that I can reach that goal or achieve that goal. So don't set an unrealistic goal, set something that's realistic. And something that's realistic could look like this. I'm going to buy myself a healthier option to have when I feel the urge for a holiday treat. So for me, that means I'm going to buy myself some nice dark chocolate that doesn't have too much sugar so that when I feel like indulging in chocolate, I can have a healthier option. Another example, a realistic goal would be I'm going to try and maintain my current weight. The next one is I'm going to follow a healthy nutrition plan 90% of the time over the holidays and allow myself to indulge 10% of the time. And the last one's I'm going to have my traditional family desserts, but I'm going to have a reasonable size serving and not have seconds. So those are all goals that can be achieved. Setting an unrealistic goal that you can't achieve will just make you feel even worse when all the indulging is over and the new year arrives. Okay, so if your big plan is to buckle down in the new year, to join a weight loss program, to get professional help, or just to do it on your own, it's a lot better if you set a realistic goal over the holidays so that you feel good when January comes. Because if you set an unrealistic goal, that you can't achieve, again, you're just going to feel crappy when the new year comes along, and it's just not going to set you up to be in a place of being motivated and feeling good about yourself to achieve your weight loss goals in the new year. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 90-10 rule. This is something I use personally myself. The 90-10 rule refers to a balanced approach to eating where 90% of your food intake consists of nutrient dense whole foods, and then 10% allows for flexibility with less nutritious options or treats. So this is a good one to use over the holidays because you can eat well 90% of the time. I mean, you're not going to have a holiday gathering every single day. So 90% of the time, focus on nutrient dense foods. And that means focusing on whole food, minimally processed foods like vegetables, fruit, protein, fiber, vegetables, healthy fats. So things like nuts and meat, eggs, all of those healthy whole foods that only have one ingredient. Those foods will keep your blood sugar low and your weight stable. And then 10% of the time, so say you're going out to a restaurant or you have a family gathering or any kind of celebratory meal, you can have some treats or less healthy options. And that could include any food. It could include indulgent foods like desserts, cookies, butter tarts, some of your family favorites, or even restaurant meals. And if you give yourself you give yourself the option of enjoying some of your favorite family or holiday treats 10% of the time, it will really reduce the likelihood that you're going to feel deprived and then end up binging. So, for example, if it's like setting those unrealistic goals, it's the same kind of thing. If I set an unrealistic goal to not eat chocolate, you can be sure that I'm going to end up in my closet eating, binge eating all the chocolate that I bought for the kids' stockings. It's going to happen. So give yourself a little bit of flexibility. Allow yourself to have something 10% of the time that you normally wouldn't eat. So this is basically how it works. If you're thinking about 90% of the time eating well and 10% of the time being able to indulge, if you're eating 21 meals a week, which means 3 meals a day, 19 of your meals, or 90%, should really focus on healthy, nutrient dense food. And then 2 meals, which is 10%, can be more indulgent. So that pretty much sums up the 90-10 rule. It's basically do the right things 90% of the time. And then on the days that you do go out for dinner or you're having dinner with family or a celebratory meal, you can indulge. You can have that piece of pie. You can have more carbs. You can, enjoy yourself. Okay, so let's get into the strategies. I have 5 here, but I think I actually put 7 in. But these are practical strategies to survive the holidays. Number 1 is have a solid first meal every single day. So make your first meal of the day count. The first meal you have during the day is one of the most important. And I mean, I'm going to say the most important. Whether you eat it in the morning, whether you fast until lunch, make sure that your first meal has these components. It has protein, healthy fat, and it has fiber. Okay. And if you do that, you'll have balanced blood sugar. You're going to feel full, satisfied, your hormones will be balanced, and you're going to be much less likely to reach for holiday treats during the day. But not only during the day, but if you are, having a meal out with friends, for example, in the evening, you're going to want to still make sure that you have a solid first meal that day. It sets you up to have balanced blood sugar. It keeps your hormones in control. It keeps your cravings under control. And it can really, really help you manage your weight in that you're not going to be reaching for snacks. So, building off of that, the second strategy is really to balance your blood sugar. Unbalanced blood sugar means that your body will be in fat storage mode and that your cravings will be out of control. Okay, you don't want that. If you balance your blood sugar, it means that your body will be in fat burning mode and that your cravings are under control. Those two things are so important over the holidays. Okay, you do not want to be in fat storage mode all throughout the holidays. That's why you're going to gain 5 pounds. That's why you're going to gain 10 pounds. Okay, balanced blood sugar will keep your hand out of the cookie jar. The key to controlling your holiday cravings and keeping your weight under control over the holidays is balanced blood sugar. And the key to balancing your blood sugar is food. Blood sugar can only be regulated by the foods that you eat. And blood sugar is really balanced when you change what, how, and when you eat food. So you can go back to strategy number one, which is have a solid first meal. That's when. So blood sugar is balanced when you change what, how, and when you eat food. Balanced blood sugar makes implementing the 90-10 rule that I just talked about, it makes it easy and it allows you to stay on track over the holidays. Not saying you have to be perfect, but it allows you to stay on track. It allows you to, do the right thing 90% of the time. So let me answer this question. What foods balance blood sugar? You really need to combine protein, fat, fiber, and carbs at every meal to maintain balanced blood sugar. So, protein could be some eggs, healthy carbs could be some onions and spinach. Fat, well, that's in the eggs, or you could add some cheese, fibers, and vegetables. Okay, so you want to make sure all the meals that you have are combining protein, fat, fiber, and carbs, and then your blood sugar will stay balanced. The third strategy is don't eat carbs or drink alcohol on an empty stomach. So just don't do it. Don't eat carbs or drink alcohol in an empty stomach. Sweets and alcohol, they're carbs. Those are considered carbs. So if you have carbs on an empty stomach, it will spike your blood sugar and it puts your body into fat storage mode. You do not want to do that. So if you're going out to a party, you're going to a get together, you're going out to a restaurant, I would highly advise that you have some protein and healthy fat before you get there, because what is the first thing that's going to happen if you get to someone's house during the holidays? If you go to a restaurant, the first thing you're probably going to do, if you do consume alcohol, is you're going to get handed a glass of wine, you're going to have a beer, you're going to have a before dinner or before party cocktail. So if you go anywhere, just have some protein and healthy fat before you get there. That could be beef jerky and a handful of nuts. That could be a piece of chicken breast and a handful of nuts. It could even be a protein bar. This will really prevent your blood sugar from spiking if you get to where you're going and the first thing you do is have a glass of wine or have a cocktail. And guys, like I do the same thing. If I'm going to somewhere for dinner during the holidays, the first thing I do when I get there, when I'm offered it, usually is to have a glass of wine. But before I leave the house, I definitely have some protein and healthy fat. Okay. So like I said, just a handful of nuts, a few pieces of jerky, a protein bar will really reduce the impact of carbs on your blood sugar. And the same thing goes for sweets. If you tend to go to a holiday party or a holiday get together and the first thing you do is go to the table they've got laid out with cookies and squares and you have one of those, you want to make sure you have some protein and fat before you get into that. Okay, that's going to help keep your weight under control. Number 4 is stay hydrated. As always, this seems like a very, very basic thing, but in my professional experience, my personal experience, my experience in general, every single person I talk to is usually not drinking enough water. So salty food, sweets, caffeine, and alcohol all cause dehydration. And those are all things that you eat and consume during the holidays a lot more than normal. So drink water over the holidays. It's extremely important. One really good nutritionist trick that you can use is adding fresh lemon juice to your water. It adds, not only does it add flavor, and vitamin C, but lemon actually has components that help your liver's detoxification process. So it helps your liver get toxins out of your blood. And if, especially if you're having some, extra holiday cheer, some cocktails, more beer, more alcohol, you're going to want to give your liver a little bit of help. Okay, so my trick over the holidays and in general is really to get up in the morning and try to drink at least a liter of water as soon as you wake up. And that way you start your day hydrated. But if you're going out to a holiday function, you're going in the evening or you're going at lunch, super, super important to make sure that you hydrate before you get there. Because the reality is, when you're there, you're probably going to be having lots of things to drink that are not water. Okay. So if you want, sorry, I just have a quick question. Does lime have the same effect? Lemon's better, but lime is also good, Norman. And I know I love lime in my water as well, but lime is also good. So if you need to know if you are dehydrated, this is how you can tell. This is the color of your urine. So if you go pee and you're yellow, your urine is extremely dark, it means you're dehydrated. You need to drink more. If it's here and it's sort of light yellow, like diluted apple juice, you're good to go. So you don't need any special equipment to figure out if you're dehydrated and you need to drink more water. You can just look at the color of your pee in the toilet. All right. Number 5, I'm going to give you some strategies about eating out at a restaurant. So same thing as if you're going to a party, you don't want to arrive at the restaurant, hungry. You do not want to fast an entire day before you know you're going to have this huge restaurant meal, because you will 100% indulge in everything. Okay. So it's good to have a snack before you go. Protein's a good option. And I am the same. Normally, if I go out to a restaurant, it's like a free for all. I'm going to get the appetizer, I'm going to have a big meal, and then I'm going to have, some kind of dessert. So I'm going to have cake, chocolate cake usually, or cheesecake, something like that. So usually what I do to try to make sure that I don't go completely overboard is have a snack before I leave the house. And that can be a protein bar again, it can be jerky, it can be nuts. It doesn't have to be huge, but don't go hungry. Okay. Skip the bread and order something with protein to start. So if you remember the last strategy or 2 strategies ago, I said don't eat carbs on an empty stomach. Bread's a carb. You do not want to eat carbs on an empty stomach. So when you get to a restaurant, a lot of the time you're going to have this basket of bread, and that's going to be the first thing that you eat. So you don't want to do the bread first. Start with something like shrimp cocktail, scallops, charcuterie board. Those are all great options. There's protein, there's fat. And then if you are going to have bread, have it after. It will spike your blood sugar less. One of the strategies you can use also is to drink water before your meal. Just like our last strategy, stay hydrated. Make sure you're hydrated before you get there. But having water as opposed to a sugary drink before you eat can help keep your blood sugar low. It can help you feel more full so that you do not overeat. When you do order a main at a restaurant, focus on something that has a good source of protein like fish, chicken, beef, or pork. Those are all good options. And skip starch, or make sure you have a smaller portion of starch and order more vegetables instead with your main. And then if you're going to have dessert, go ahead and have it. A good way to mitigate the effects of dessert are to share with somebody who you're there with. That way you'll only eat half of the dessert instead of the whole thing. So number 6 is holiday parties, kind of the same as restaurants, but a little bit different. Really important the day of the party to have solid, well-balanced meals, and don't arrive at the party having fasted all day. Okay, that means your blood sugar is going to be really low. It means you're going to reach for all of the things and that you're going to be craving carbs. Arrive hydrated. Don't head to the dessert table first. have sweets after you've had some protein. Normally, you'll see, a table full of appetizers if you go to a holiday party. Try and focus on protein and healthy fat for appetizers. Olives, cheese, meat, vegetables are all great options. You can start with that. That way, when you have a cocktail or a glass of wine or a drink, it's not going to spike your blood sugar as much. You can also try and arrange your dinner plate so that it's quarter meat, quarter starch, and half vegetables. And really, if you have seconds, if you go up and you have seconds, you really feel like you need it, go for more protein and vegetables and skip the extra servings of carbs. One other really neat trick if you're at a holiday dinner party is eat vegetables first, then protein, and carbs last if you can. That can also help to keep your blood sugar lower. Okay, number 7 is damage control, because I'm sure you all know, as I do, sometimes things don't go according to plan and you just go completely off the rails. So, what to do if you indulged more than you should have? Don't beat yourself up about it. If you've had 3 pieces of pecan pie, what's done is done. I mean, you might feel bad about it, and that's okay, but don't beat yourself up. Don't berate yourself. It happened. It's okay. There are things that you can do to make it better. And one of those things is to fast. So if you've gone to a holiday party, if you've gone to a dinner at a restaurant, you've had a huge meal, fasting the following day or afterwards can really help reset your body. So if you've had a huge meal at lunch, fast until the next morning. If you have a huge meal at dinner time, fast until the next day at lunchtime or later. And fasting can really allow your body to reset and recuperate. So that can be something that can, you know, well, it's damage control for if you've gone overboard. I use that strategy all the time. I use this strategy really actually quite often, probably, once a week. If I have a heavier meal, or if I've had a day where I've eaten a little bit more the next day, I might not eat until lunch. So this is a really good way to mitigate the effects of overindulging. Okay, number 8, dealing with questions about your eating choices. So, what to tell people if they are questioning you about not having the extra piece of pie or not doing the things you normally do because you're trying to stay on track. So, instead of saying that you're trying to lose weight, I definitely counsel clients to just say that they're trying to make better food choices so they can be healthier and live longer. Because if you tell someone you're trying to lose weight, they're probably most likely going to argue with you about the fact that you don't need to lose weight, and oh, it's just Christmas, or oh, it's just Thanksgiving. Like, have that extra piece of pie. Go ahead. It's not going to hurt you. But there really aren't too many people who are going to argue with you about wanting to be healthy as you get older. So if you say to someone, well, I'm worried about getting diabetes, I don't really want to have too much sugar, they're probably not going to say to you, oh, well, like, screw diabetes doesn't matter. But if you say that you want to lose weight, they might say, oh, you're fine, you don't need to lose any weight. So that's a good way to prevent having to argue with people about having, seconds if you don't want it. And the bonus strategy, as always, for cravings, for holidays, is pretend I'm sitting on your shoulder. So if you pretend that I'm there with you, and you just ask yourself the question, what would Trina tell me to do? And you're about to have a 3rd piece of pecan pie, you can probably guess that my answer to that question is going to be step away from the pie, don't eat anymore, you're already full, stay on track. Okay. And yeah, that's what I tell my clients to do that are in my program, the Belly Fat Fix. It's a 16-week online weight loss program that all men can understand. It's not about being perfect. It's really just about being able to manage your weight, lose your weight, and take control of your health while living a normal life and eating normal food. Okay. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's sustainable, and my clients definitely get success. It's not about, it's definitely not about, calorie counting and severe restriction and never being able to go to a holiday party and enjoy indulging in some of your favorite things. Okay. You don't have to not have any carbs at Christmas dinner, at Thanksgiving dinner. That's not realistic. So the approach that I teach is one that is very realistic. It's one that's completely individualized, for people, because I know all of you guys are different. You have your own different tastes, your habits, and I really work with people to make sure that they can find an approach that works for them in their life. Okay. And yeah, it's step by step guidance. Like I said, a personalized approach, lots of coaching and accountability, and really having expert help from me all the time. So, you can eat normal food. You could have Christmas dinner. You can have a decent sized plate of food. These are my plates of food, and you can still lose weight. You can maintain weight. You can feel fantastic. And you don't have to really do anything fancy. And, some people might think a nutritionist eats a bunch of like fancy, crazy, weird food. I don't. I mean, this is a normal family meal. It's vegetables, salad, meat, and a bit of rice. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can just be plain food that everybody likes to eat, that everybody knows how to cook. Okay. These are some meals of my clients. And yeah, that's it. So I'll jump off and then I can answer questions if anybody has them. Okay, let me just check the comments. PJ, you're not going to beat yourself up. You're not going to beat yourself up for doing what? Yeah. Hi, Norm. Okay. Does anybody have? I know there are not too many people watching live, but if anyone has questions and you're watching the replay, feel free to put the questions in the comments. Even if it's the replay, I'm happy to answer later on today or tomorrow or even over the weekend. That's no problem. I think the most important thing to remember over the holidays is to not set an unrealistic goal. It's not to beat yourself up. It's to indulge a little bit, but to understand some basic little strategies that you can use. Those 7 or 8 strategies that I gave you, they're fantastic. Those will be the difference between you gaining, 2 or 3 pounds instead of 10. So, you can't just go completely off the rails. You can't just have a whole apple strudel for breakfast every day just because it's the holidays. But you can definitely make better choices so that the damage is not so bad when January comes around. And so you can still feel good about yourself. So you can still indulge from a place of control as opposed to having food in control of you, which is, it doesn't make you feel good psychologically, but it's also a way that you're going to gain a lot of weight over the holidays. Okay. So that's it for today. And like I said, if anyone has any questions or wants to contact me, I will put the information to do that in the post for this video.